How should you approach a new call with your prospects? What are the words you should say? How should you approach the way in which you engage with a call from a new lead that's come into your business? My name's James White and I'm a sales trainer and mentor. And in this video, I'm going to share with you an example of a training session that I held with one of my clients and their sales team a few weeks ago before we got to lockdown, where we went through some training on how to approach the calls and the way they interact with new leads that come into their business. I'm going to share with you the call and the way I went through that call, and then give you some tips at different points in the video on what I did and why I did certain things in order to give you some insights in how I think you should run new inbound lead calls that you get with prospects that come to your business. Let's take a look at the video and see if it can give you the insights on how to make better calls that get better sales results.
Good afternoon, can I speak to Abigail, please?
Speaking.
Hey Abigail, it's James here from Shifts to Success. How are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
Yeah, great. Lovely to get a chance to speak to you. It's we've been trying to get hold of you for a couple of days now, so I know you're a busy lady. Have you had a good day so far?
So the first thing you can hopefully see is that I've approached this call slightly different because it's an inbound lead rather than what I call an outbound lead. If I was making a first call to a prospect that I didn't know, I wouldn't use the words that I'm using right now, but because this lead has come to us, I'm approaching it in a slightly different way.
I have actually. I've just been doing some training, from my workplace, so yeah.
Fantastic, and hopefully I haven't caught you at a bad time that you're working today. Hello, because I know I think it says in the form that you completed that you work for Yorkshire Police, is that right?
The next thing you'll notice is that this prospect has completed a form. So what they've done is they've provided some information to my client, and therefore we've got some information around who the client is. And I'm really keen to be able to show the prospect that we've identified that and we've seen that information come through. I want the prospect to think that they know who I am and they know what information I've provided, and not the fact that they've then got to think they've got to repeat everything they've said to them over the phone again and again. That's going to waste the prospect's time, and we don't want that to be the case. By the way, the company that I was doing this for was a company called Shifts to Success. And Shifts to Success are a brilliant, successful business that help police officers and those in the NHS and other public organisations move away from maybe the frustrations they're having in their roles at the moment and build incredible businesses that help them to achieve the dreams and goals they have.
Yep.
Oh, great, and you've been in the role for how many years?
5 years.
Oh, amazing, okay, and how's those 5 years been for you?
So one of the things you'll notice here is how I've tried to mirror the conversation that I'm having with the prospect. By mirroring, I'm able to go back and repeat the words that they've repeated to me. And this is a really great and easy way in which to build rapport and trust with the prospect and to get them to feel that you understand who they are and what they're about.
I've had my ups and downs. Lately it's been more down.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Tell me more.
Yeah.
What's caused it to be feeling down?
You'll notice at this point here that the prospect has already mentioned to me a problem. And so what I'm really keen to do is to probe more into this area and find out why it's a problem for the prospect. I'm really keen to show empathy, that I understand what's going on in their world, and I really want to not just say great, thanks, and move on to my next question, but probe a bit more and get to know what's really going on within the prospect's mindset at this point in time.
I mean, I've just had some unsupportive colleagues and working a lot lately, so yeah. Been quite down.
Unsupportive colleagues you mentioned, what's people not giving you what you would like to have from
just a lot of animosity in the team, and also some negativity.
Oh wow, that's not good to hear. Animosity and negativity, what sort of directed at you personally?
So you'll see at this point here that what I'm also doing is then again continue to mirroring work, but you'll also know I'm writing things down. Good salespeople have a really professional looking book with a really nice, good looking pen with a bag and look presentable to their clients, whether they're on the phone or face to face, and write things down so that they can show their prospect that they take an interest in what's being said. Write down notes that you can then use to refer back to later on in the call or maybe at a subsequent meeting.
Yeah, some days.
Wow, that's I'm sorry to hear that. That must prove to be quite stressful for you then in that case.
So once again, you can see at this point how I'm really, really keen to show empathy, which is one of the most important words for salesperson people to have at this point in the process. And I'm really keen to understand the emotional impact it has on the prospect. It makes a difference compared to when we sell within the heart. People buy from the heart, and we've got to really tap into those emotions that are caused by the problems and wants they have.
Yeah, very stressful. Sometimes I dread going into work, so...
Wow. Well, that's not good to hear. I'm sorry to hear
It's
that.
not,
Actually.
yeah.
So,
You can note here that I could have gone in and gone into further detail when the prospect said, I dread going into work. But what I did is I made a note of this, so I was able to then use this for a subsequent part of the call. There are times as a salesperson when you've got to use your self-awareness and judgment to know whether it's right to keep probing in a certain area, whether to note that down and then maybe come back to it at a later point in time.
and obviously you've taken the test. How did you find out about Shifts to Success?
I just saw it on Facebook and I just thought I'd go ahead and fill it in.
Sure. So
Yeah.
you were looking for maybe something to maybe see if there's a
It looks
thinking
like
of how you can build an alternative choice for yourself. I mean, what's your thoughts on where you are at the police right now? Is this something you see yourself doing for a number of years to come?
So what you can see at this point is I've asked the prospect whether they can see themselves being in this position for a long period to come. What that enables us to then do is hopefully get a response from the prospect that says no, they don't want to have this pain or problem, or they don't want to be in their current position for the rest of their life. It's a really key point in any sales conversation that you've got to have, is really be able to clarify from the prospect their position, whether they want to stay where they are right now. Invariably, if they've got a pain, they don't want to.
At the moment, I am looking for something new. I just haven't figured out what exactly I want to do.
Okay, and you mentioned looking for something new. What would any ideas already on what that would look like from your perspective?
Maybe starting a business, perhaps.
Okay, cool.
I just don't have an idea at the moment, so that's where I'm a bit stuck.
Well, sure. Well, if it's okay, we can definitely come back. We have some there are lots of people come and talk to us about having not an idea, and we're able to help them in that area. But just mention starting a business. What is it about having your own business that appeals to you?
You'll notice at this point that the prospect maybe even mentioned our solution. And I could go in then at this point and actually start talking about the solution. But what you'll find, and I see this a lot in salespeople, is when that happens, salespeople go in and start talking about their solution, but yet they haven't really understood the prospect and the problems that they've got. And so what I then still continue to do in this case here is still continue to understand, continue to ask the questions, to probe and really get to know what's going on in the prospect's mind. What's going on in their world right now? How does it make them feel? And what can we help them do to get out of that situation? That's what I focus on in this part of the conversation.
I just feel like I need something to leave for my children. I can't. My kids can't inherit my job with the police force, so.
And how many children have you got?
3.
Oh wow, okay. And are they quite a mixture of ages or quite young?
8-year-old, 7-year-old, and a 3-year-old.
Wow,
actually.
incredible ages then, basically. So you must see them change and develop so much as over their every day that passes, really.
Yeah, well, at the moment I've been very busy, so I haven't really spent time with them, unfortunately. But
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
it's life.
That must feel that must make be quite a challenge for you then personally and your family. And how'd you cope with that?
So you can see from that, because I've now started to probe rather than necessarily talk about our solution, I've been able to really get into understand the prospect even more. And it's actually got the prospect to tell me about the concern it's having on her children, the impact it's having. And of course, her children are likely to be the most important thing in her life. So it's really essential that because we now know the impact this is having, we can really start to see if they're a right fit to move that prospect to our solution going forward. When you get to know the real drivers that make the prospect do things, you're going to find sales a lot easier to engage and work with.
Yeah, it gets tough sometimes, but I guess I'm used to it at the moment.
Sure, but the idea of maybe with that, animosity plus not spending time with the kids, it sounds like there's a really difficult time for you, which we're really sad to hear actually, and sorry to hear.
Yeah.
So can I ask you what you've looked into to try and sort of make the change? I know you said you were interested in looking at a business, but you weren't sure of the idea. But what other actions have you taken to try and build a better future for yourself?
So a couple of points here that are really important. Firstly, I looked to try and summarise the situation and recap what the prospects told me. And of course, this was a training call, but this is still something I would look to do on any call I have with a prospect. The other thing you'll also notice I've started to do is to start to pose questions in the mind of the prospect, such as, how are you going about creating a better future? And what this enables us to then do is enable the prospect to start thinking what that could look like. By picturing a new, better future, the prospect can then start to visualise what that looks like. And it's going to be a massive factor when it comes to them making a decision on whether they want to start working with you or not.
I mean, I've tried to go on YouTube, look at motivational stuff. That helps sometimes.
Any particular areas that you think have been motivating for you, that have really inspired you and thought, I wish I could do that?
Maybe on the property side.
Wow, okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. So you may be looking at some options and whether property, is that
I
property
have been.
management maybe?
Or buying and developing and selling, that sort of thing.
Wow.
Refurbishing, yeah.
Ah, fantastic. So how are you, what sort of actions are you taking to try and make that happen? Is it a case of looking at the YouTube videos and then maybe you're thinking of attending some courses or materials to help you build your knowledge in that area?
At the moment I've been trying to save and invest, so it's more saving, that's why I've been working a lot.
Fantastic. Well, it's been great to chat to you, Abigail, and talk through some of these things. Well, obviously, I appreciate we've got a few moments for this call, and we generally always like to help officers achieve what they want to. Tell me more. What would help you make up a decision about your future. Where would you what could we provide you that would help you give you some options maybe for the future?
You'll notice at this point here, I'm asking the prospect, what do they want to do next? This is a great opportunity for the prospect to hopefully then say, well, I was hoping you could tell me a little bit more about how you help people in this situation. I'm allowing the prospect to try and move the bridge or make that bridge from where they are now to where they want to be and where we are and what we offer themselves without me having to necessarily push them through that. Getting prospects to see for themselves how their situation is affecting them and how they want to then change it is a great way to then be in a position to then start talking about how you can solve the problems or wants they've got.
Maybe a course perhaps, or I'd love to get more insight into the business world and property world and stuff. So I guess I need some motivation for a course. Yeah.
Motivation is one definitely. Or would it also be useful? We've got a few examples of police officers that were in exactly the same situation as yourself, who felt strain and stress and sad to say animosity like you faced, but have been in a position where they've been able to change and transform what they've done and build a new future for themselves. Would it be useful to maybe share some examples of a couple of those people and maybe see how they've gone about doing that?
Yeah, definitely.
You'll notice at this point, rather than necessarily share details of the solution and talk about how great we are, what I then try and actually do is give some scenarios and examples of other people who have been in that same position. I want the prospect to feel like they can belong, that they can actually think, right, other people have been in this position the same as me. It's not just me. When we give people scenarios of similar people to them who have been in that position and come through it, it builds trust and it makes the prospect think it can really happen to them.
Look, well, great. Well, look, I really appreciate that. So what we have a couple of people such as X and Y here, and as you can see, they've done this, and this. And the example behind that is that they were able to create something from scratch. Especially one of the people, Katie, didn't have a business idea at all, but we worked with her on how developing her passion. And now, just a couple of weeks ago, she decided to leave the force because she'd replaced their income. So stories like Katie's are pretty inspirational, wouldn't you agree?
You'll notice at this point as well, I've also given a real life example. By the way, the lady that I mentioned here is a lady called Katie Saywell. She's a fantastic business owner, runs a business called The Dog's Code. Have a look at Katie. She's the world's leading dachshund dog trainer. But she's a real example of someone that was in the police force, so has then created a new business and now is enjoying the life that she wants to. But when you give a real life example that's real, that someone can then picture and see and even talk to, it builds belief in the prospect's mind that this actually can work for them.
Yeah, how long did it take her to leave her job?
So I'm not the exact details around that, but I believe in the region of circa 18 months to 2 years. But she came to one of our quick start days. I think it was January 2017, and yeah, from that point she's never looked back really. And I guess she'd admit herself that businesses can be tough.
Okay.
But what it's now given her is a chance to build a better future for her and her family, and that's something she's really proud of. How would it feel to build a better future for you and your family, knowing that you can achieve your goals from running your own business?
It's so important in sales that we qualify the prospect that we have. Are they right for us? Can we really deliver the solution for them that's going to make them a disciple going forward? I'll talk more about disciples later on. Many salespeople see a fit and automatically want to go straight headlong into the sale without really a double checking and assuring that the person they're going to work with is right for their solution. That's vital if you're to prevent further problems later down the line.
Yeah, I think I'd feel fulfilled, and it's something that I'm actually trying to do. So if you have the information, I could definitely.
And how are you going about achieving that right now, apart from the YouTube videos? Do you feel there's, what areas do you feel that you could, do with some help in respect to sort of getting the ideas and ideas to start a new business off the ground? Is it mentoring? Is it maybe support? Maybe advice, maybe from some experts that could help you, not make mistakes that maybe others have made?
Yeah, I would say mentoring would be good. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, look, one of the things that we do is that the quick start day that we have is a fantastic opportunity for people such as yourself who are just looking at different options around the police force. Not looking to necessarily make a change straight away, but just want to give themselves choice about what they do in their future. They find that the day proves really valuable. It's ranked very highly, 9.6 out of 10 of everyone that's previously attended a quick start day has loved the day. And we hold them every couple of months. Our next one's on March the 16th. I mean, would it be maybe useful for you to come along to that and see for yourself how others are achieving some stories of how they've achieved some change, and just give yourself some options for the future.
I then start to do some initial bridging by suggesting some USPs, unique selling points around the solution that is in place, so it starts to get the prospect feeling even more confident that what we have in place can actually work for them. This is really important when it comes to prospects starting to go on the journey with you. They've got to start to picture and feel that what you offer can work for them. And people don't buy things because they don't think it will. Our job as salespeople is to help them, convince them and show them that it can work for them, give them examples and make them believe that actually that they should start to work with us.
Yeah, so I think March the 16th I am busy.
No worries at all. We've got another one on May the 12th. I can put you in for the May the 12th one if that's better for you.
Yeah, that would be much better.
So you'll notice at this point that I'm now starting to be able to offer the prospect a solution. And in this case, it's to attend an event. And you'll notice even though I get a first initial rejection, I've got a method to be able to handle that rejection by offering another date to the prospect.
Fantastic. Well, look, what the course itself, the Quick Start Day itself is £99, but what I didn't mention, which is a real added value for you as well, is if at any stage at the end of the day you feel you've not got the value from it, or it's not what you expected, you can talk to myself or one of my colleagues at the event and we'll refund you the money completely. So there's absolutely no risk whatsoever from your perspective. So, but as I say, those that have been attended have loved the event, they found it inspirational, and it's given them some ideas on how to build a future. So, shall we get you booked onto the 15th of May event?
Yeah, let's go for it.
And as I say, let's get you started for that. And by the way, we've also got an opportunity. Would there be anyone else that you'd want to come with you that could help support you on your business vision?
Yeah, maybe my husband could come,
Fantastic.
if that's possible.
Yeah, for sure, we can certainly look at that. Is he someone that is obviously feeling the pain around what you're going through in the force as well at the moment?
So at this point in the conversation, what I've done is I've given the price to the prospect, but I've also then said that we give a guarantee so that I de-risk it as much as possible for the prospect. Again, when we're selling anything, we've got to think about in the mind of the prospect, they're thinking of risks and how things won't work for them. So anything we can do that can de-risk that is a major help. What you can now see is I then use what I would call an assumptive close, such as, shall we get you booked on to attend this event? And you'll also notice I then, once the prospects agree to that point, which is a natural close, I then give them something else that can even wow them after they've made that decision. We want to continually reinforce to our prospects that they're making the right decision, and giving something a little bonus at the end of it is a great way to do that.
Yeah, he's been there from day one. So yeah, I would love for him to come along if that's okay.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll look to see if I can. I know we've got limited spaces on these events, but what I'm looking to do, I'll make sure I try and get him onto the event. Leave it with me. I'm pretty sure I can sort that. Leave that with me, and I'll get him onto the event so that you can both come along, see what it is, and just give yourself the option of seeing what could be the potential. There's no strain and stress from our perspective. It's all about just showing you a community of other people that have been in the same position as you that have just chosen a different path. So, so let's get you booked onto that event. The price is £99. What I'll do, I'll take the card details now, and once I've taken the details, you'll get an email to confirm your attendance at the event and a few other bits of information that can prove useful ahead of the day. How does that sound?
Finally, you'll see I then look to be able to take the card details and make sure I complete that sale. One of the things I encourage you not to do as a salesperson, I've been in this position myself, is not be prepared with the card or the order form or the information you need in order to complete that transaction there and then. It's happened to me in the past where I've left it before, called someone back a day later and they haven't been there and I've lost the sale. We don't want that to be happening with you. So if you know that there is a process in your sales activity, which is the next stage to take some information or money or details, have that ready with you when you're making that call.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Great stuff. Let's get the details set up.
So there you go. There's an example of how I would approach an inbound lead that comes into a business so that I can then start to understand the prospect, get to know them and move them to the next stage of the sales process. The next stage for Shift to Success is them attending a quick start day, but we may well need to have 1 or 2 other calls in order to get the prospects feeling comfortable at who we are. And I know Alex and his team provide great content and information and value to the prospect that helps them believe and see that Shift to Success are the right option for them. The key in this process is that we can't rush things. We've got to use our emotional sales intelligence to understand how the prospect feels, where they're at, and then use the right type of tools, whether it's content, materials, or even the words we say to get them from where they are to where they want to be. So I hope that this gives you some insight into how to approach a new inbound lead call and what to do. I really want you to remember these 5 key things when it comes to the call that you're having with new inbound leads that come in. The first thing is this: know what you want to achieve from the call. What is your goal? That should be defined through your sales process. And if your sales process is to move them through to a demo, focus on achieving that. If your sales process is to achieve a meeting, focus on that. Let prospect move with you on that journey, but focus on what that goal is, and it's going to help you get a better result from the call itself. The second point is the most important point when it comes to sales. Spend time getting to know the prospect and understanding them, listening to what they have to say and not talking about you and your solution. 70% of sales should be done by listening and understanding rather than talking about who you are. And when we do that effectively, we get insights into the prospect's mind and enables us to then be able to bridge to the solution that they want, but they're just a little bit afraid of. Third point, as I mentioned, is get to know the problem or want that's driving the prospect to make a decision or do something different. And also why they're looking to do that right now. The key thing here is to be able to be in a position where we make the prospect feel that we can give them a solution, that we want them to feel that there is an answer. If you had toothache, you'd want to go and see a dentist straight away. Get to understand them, get to know their real pain, and it's going to be a big helping factor when it then comes to starting to move them to the next stage of the process, or hopefully closing them. The fourth thing here is provide evidence and examples of how what you do works, and give social proof and evidence, videos, testimonials, examples that work in this position. It's so much easier for a prospect to believe something when they can see other people similar to them that have been through the same and that have said, yes, I had that problem and I've got a result. It's going to help you build belief and trust that you can solve their problem and make them work with you. Remember in this point, however, to give evidence. We've got to de-risk things for the prospect. In the prospect's mind, buying your service is a risk. How can you remove those barriers and risks to sale that make the prospect think, this is obvious, I need to go and do this? Those are when the best sales activity happens, because you're then going to get prospects saying to you, how do we move forward? I want to make this happen. When that happens, you know you've done the sales call in the right way. The fifth thing is this: be ready to deal with an objection if it comes up, and have your list of questions and the objection ways in which you handle things in front of you, so that you know if a prospect does mention something, you don't get flustered and you can then deal with that in the right way. Great salespeople have a list of questions and they're prepared to go a little bit off piste in the right areas in order to make sure they really show empathy and understanding with the prospect. Do that and I guarantee you it's going to help you have better calls and enable you to move prospects through your sales process and pipeline. And the final point is this: get the deal confirmed. In this case, I was able to do the business, but know what's going to happen next. Don't leave it open. Don't say you'll speak to someone soon. Agree a definitive date and time that you're going to speak to the prospect. If they won't give you that date and time, maybe you've got to use your self-awareness to really think, was this meeting as good as I thought it was? The reality is in sales, if you know a prospect and a prospect thinks that you understand them and have got that problem, it's a real thing for them, they're going to want it solved anyway. And if you do that, it's going to mean you can then look forward to working with that prospect, going to the next stage in the activity and hopefully then working and closing them to become a customer of yours. So there you have it. I hope this video has been useful and given you an insight into what to do and how to approach a new inbound call. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what works for you. How have you approached activities like this? Please put them in the comments in the section below. I'd love to hear your insights and thoughts. And if you like this video, if it's helping you, if it's giving you a chance to be able to get better sales results, let me know as well. I love hearing comments from those that love and watch my videos. And if it can help you get better sales results, that's why I do what I do. My name's James White. I'm a sales trainer and mentor. And thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate it. I hope in these difficult times you're staying safe. I really hope you're looking after family and friends, and most importantly, looking after yourself as well. Stay safe, stay positive. We're going to come through these difficult times and come through better. And if we use and improve our sales skills, we're going to ensure that our businesses get them to where we want them to be. Take care, and I look forward to sharing another video with you really soon.